Welcome everyone to July 2024's session of Spiritual Questions Answered. In today's episode, we are tackling this question: what happens to our consciousness and soul when we die? All right. So everyone knows me. Yeah, I'm Kat of CordyKet, and Cordelia and I have been doing spiritual and energy work since 2010. So this series is of a podcast or playlist, Spiritual Questions Answered. It's meant to answer a lot of questions that people have. And today we are tackling this topic: what happens to our consciousness and soul when we die? Yeah. So I will share with you all what I know, including some of the latest. There's a latest research which corresponds to what we do know, and I thought it's good to present what is this topic. Hopefully in a little bit more scientific manner. All right. Now, okay. So you notice that over here I differentiate between consciousness and soul. All right, and of course we're dealing with this question of when we die. Right. There's a lot of questions being asked. Not many people know for sure what happens when we die. I'm not saying I died before, all right? So in our line of work, we do a lot of spiritual work, and we work with the divine spirits, the good spirits, yeah, and we also help send ghosts and lost souls to light. So I have a lot of interactions with them, and I can say that I know what I'm talking about. So if you don't know me or you don't trust me, it's okay, right? Just listen with an open mind and see whether this is something that makes sense to you. Okay, so firstly, we need to differentiate consciousness and soul. Yeah. For majority of people, all right, our consciousness and our soul are not the same thing. All right, our consciousness and soul are not the same, not exactly the same thing. You know, it's a very some would say it's a rhetorical question because nobody can seem to know. But I can guarantee this. All right, if a person meditates enough and a person understands consciousness and understand one's own self enough, consciousness is actually quite a diverse and confusing topic, even for people who meditate a lot. So I will just share with you that if any one of us meditate and take meditation to very deep levels, we can differentiate that each and every one of us, in terms of consciousness and awareness, there is more than one inside the body. All right, there's more than one inside the body, and most of what we experience, the consciousness that we experience, is our brain-based. So the major one that we actually experience, all right, is a brain-based consciousness. Brain-based. I say brain-based because if our brain, something happens to our brain gets squashed, something like that, the consciousness disappears and we die. All right, there's no consciousness. So largely, the one that we experience, the major one, is a brain-based consciousness. All right, and our mind comes from the brain. All right, from brain-based consciousness, mind, right, from the brain, it generates the mind. The mind is just the invisible aspect of the brain. All right, and our mind is quite complex. Our mind, we have the conscious mind, we have the subconscious, we have the unconscious. All right. So largely, first of all, largely, what most people experience, I dare say maybe 95% or maybe 98%, what we are experiencing is a brain-based conscious mind consciousness. Whatever most people are aware of, when you're awake, when you can think, we are experiencing a brain-based conscious consciousness. And most people are not aware of the subconscious or their unconscious minds. All right, and even the subconscious and unconscious mind, they are brain-based. It's just that most of us are not aware of it. And there can be other types of consciousness that a person can be aware of when a person meditates deep enough, and it can get confusing. All right, I'm not sure some of you here, you are learning infinity with us, and meditation from us. So if you go to very deep levels, you realize consciousness is not so simple. But by and large, okay, everyone, what we are experiencing is our brain-based conscious mind consciousness. All right. And then the next thing I want to talk about is the soul. Okay, is the soul. So the soul and this consciousness is not one and the same. All right. Now the soul is an energy form. All right. The soul is more an energy form that also has consciousness. All right. That. Okay, this is that. Okay, my short form for that. That has consciousness. All right. The soul is an energy form that has consciousness and is in our body. And this consciousness, all right, is not the same. Is not the same as the consciousness that we all experience, which is our conscious mind, brain-based consciousness. All right, whatever you are doing right now, right, you are conscious, and your consciousness is that of a conscious mind that is brain-based. If it's brain-based is a body-based. If something happens to our body when we die, right, when we die, our body die, our brain die, this consciousness as we know it gets wiped out. Okay? Now, separately in our body, we have another consciousness. All right? We have another consciousness, and this consciousness is not physical based. It's independent of the body. This is what can survive us after our death. All right? And it's a separate consciousness. It is linked, but in general, people don't experience it unless you're doing certain types of meditation, or you're able to transfer your awareness from conscious mind, brain-based consciousness to place into this consciousness. All right? So there is this form of, there is a soul in the body. All right? There's a soul in the body, and its consciousness is not based on our physical body. Okay? Now, what happens to our consciousness and soul when we die? The first and most compelling evidence, all right? The most compelling evidence comes from this type of experiences. Come from near-death experiences. Yes? Right? So, you all know what near-death experiences are? So, near-death experiences are the experiences whereby a person died temporarily or nearly died, or the doctors will say they were medically certified dead for some time, or maybe not quite, and then they came back to life. All right, and most of these people, they will have near-death experiences. All right, and the near-death experiences is usually of a spiritual kind. All right, it's of a spiritual kind, and there are a few categories of near-death experiences. Okay, so there are a few categories of near-death experiences, and I will talk about it, and then I hope to map out everything clearly for everyone to understand, and I will try to explain what causes what type of near-death experiences, or those near-death experiences can actually translate into real death experiences. Okay, so near-death experiences, I will lump it into two kinds. All right, one is they experience light, so there's a light-based experience. So what is light-based experience? So generally there is a light-based experience whereby they will perceive light at the end of the tunnel. There is like a light at the end of the tunnel. At end of tunnel kind of feeling. Or they move towards light. Yeah? And then they will see typically, all right, beings of light that are shining in light, and they can be the divine, according to one's religion, or for people who does not have religion, they can be of deceased people, deceased friends and family. All right, and they can be angels and so on, whereby we recognize as good. Okay, so usually they will experience this, and then they will chit chat. All right, and there's a general feeling the light at the end of the tunnel. There's a up. The general sense is kind of up. They feel that as they die, they went up to see the light, kind of thing. Okay, and because it's a near-death experience, they will be with either their friends, the deceased friends and family, or with divine, Jesus, Buddha, whichever religion. All right, and it can be of different religions. So they spend some time, and then at the end of it, they will return downwards to their body, because they never die. Yeah. So usually this is what happens, and usually the return downwards, they can actually see, the real life scenario. So what do I mean by that? So a lot of this type of reports of near-death experiences, or what they call NDEs, near-death experiences. Most of the scenario is like that, yeah. A lot of them experience this scenario. When they come back down, so it's like they returning to the body from above, and normally they look down, and maybe they see the doctors, doing CPR or the electric shock thing, trying to revive them, and they see maybe friends and family outside the operating theater waiting. Of course, they will have like kind of like more bird's eye view, and they can see those things, and it can be very, very accurate. Or they come back from a place in heaven. So heaven, or a nice place, and sometimes they say it's like pasture or open hills. It's a nice place, they spend some time there. All right, then they come back down and they will see all this, and usually this real life scenario can corroborate with what actually happened in real life. They return the body, they never die, and then they tell this story. And a lot of people have this very similar experience. So this is one type of experience that people experience. But not everyone who have near-death experience this. This is generally considered a nice experience. All right. So there'll be a second type of experience, which is no light. It can be dark, it can be cold, it can be empty, or it can be of nightmares. Right? So there are some people, they went through this type of things, and this is near-death experiences. Some people who have comas also, maybe they have something like that, but usually it needs to be near death or like close to death for them to experience this. So other people, they will have this one, no light experience. All right. So there is a light-based experience. There is one that is no light. Whereby it can be dark and have nightmares, and then they come back to the body. They don't have this seeing light at the end of the tunnel, returning downwards and nothing. It's just not a very nice place, and then they come back. All right. There's generally these two things, and a lot of these cases, right, whether it's one or two, right, there is this a significant number of them will experience what is known as flashback. Right? Have you heard of this flashback? Yeah, a lot of people say, when they nearly die or the kind of thing, they will experience this my life flashed before me kind of thing. Sometimes even before they have a real NDE, but even like a traffic accident or something, some people go through that. So suddenly they don't know why, as if time stopped, and they will have a flashback where a lot of things seem to, go across their mind, and they relive or they remember a lot of memories, just flash through. Then only they go through this in general. There is this, right? Have you all heard about this? Yeah. So everyone know what I'm talking about, yeah. So there's quite a lot of stories about this. There are also movies made based on all these near-death experiences, right? And more or less, of course, those are stories that are more inspiring will be these light-based ones. But if you interview enough people, there will be those people who talk about this non-light, no-light experiences, which is not so nice. Now, what exactly is happening? All right, I will be trying to explain to you all. Okay, first of all, go back to this consciousness and soul. They are not one and the same. Okay, and so I would like to point out a study in an accidental medical study. All right. There was an accidental medical study. All right, in 2022. So this is quite recent. And the lead doctor is Dr. Rema. All right, so this is a Googleable information. You can go and Google it. So what happened is in this study, all right, it's an accidental and is claimed to be the only one of its kind, all right, that actually monitored what happened to a dying brain. All right. So normally people, when people are dying, the doctors don't put all the, don't monitor their brains and see what happened to them when they die, because it's just a waste of resources. When you use machines, any one of you who've been to an ICU, right, and you hook up all the machines, the more machines you hook up, the bigger your hospital bill is going to be. So the doctors normally just, when the person is going to die, they just unplug everything and just let the person go, and maybe just monitor the heart. And the heart one is a very simple thing. Monitor the brain, the EEG, right, is going to be expensive. So in this study, they had an 87-year-old man, all right, who has epilepsy, right, epilepsy patient. So they didn't really expect him to die, but because he's an epilepsy patient, the patient was on EEG. Alright, so they're monitoring his brain waves. But then it so happened that this patient died. Alright, it so happened that this patient died, and then they had the heart monitors and everything, and so the heart monitor, brain monitor, and wow, so they got this data about what happened when this person died. Okay, this patient died. So what was amazing, alright, was when this patient died, his brain went through something that is not easily achievable. His brainwave went into gamma state, and a lot of the parts of his brain were firing in gamma state. So in gamma state is the brain whereby the brain goes into hyperdrive and is firing at very high frequencies, generally greater than 30 hertz. All right, but our brain normally don't go to that level. So the brain of this patient goes into gamma state. And what is interesting is, based on what the doctors know about this gamma state, all right, this gamma state is the doctors' scientific community knows that it can, for people who have flashbacks, is also associated with flashbacks, and for people who is linked to people who meditate and are able to bring their minds to that kind of level. All right, it's considered a rare brain state. But this man, apparently when he died, his brain went into that, and then he died. And they have this data, all right? And basically, it happened after the heart stopped, all right? The brain was still firing, was still working after the heart stopped. It's not like the heart stopped and then the brain also. The heart but the brain, after that, it goes firing into gamma, then only the brain dies. Okay, so, and they know this is linked to flashbacks. All right, it's linked to flashbacks, and they have detected it in mice before, and so basically, to be safe for the medical community, they can only speculate, because, and it is not right scientifically. Yeah, it's not right, because this is just one case. It's only considered in science, right? It's considered an anecdotal case or evidence, because it's only one case. They cannot say this happens to everybody, all right? But they have noted the similarities with other gamma states, and they kind of think this gamma state is an enhanced state. But for a person like me who will be involving in spiritual work, to me, I see it as an aha moment, because based on my knowledge, I know what is happening, and this seems to piece together with what I know. And when I read this article in 2022, I think, when it came out, I thought, oh, this really corroborates with what I know spiritually. So I'm going to share with you all what actually happens spiritually. Now, our soul, right, is an energy form that has consciousness, is in our body, and the location of the soul, all right, the location of the soul is in our heart, our physical heart. Okay? Unknown to most people, our soul, the seat of the soul, is in our heart. And that is one of the reasons why, a lot of people, I wouldn't say a lot of people, that is why across many cultures and many languages, there is always a saying that goes, listen to your heart, follow your heart. Right? Listen to your heart, follow your heart. So, because a lot of people feel that they receive guidance from their heart. So what they're receiving guidance from is their soul. And the soul is typically, something, this soul that has consciousness is essentially a good soul. All right, it's a good soul. is generally quite pure. All right, it's generally good, and for some people they can see that it's a form of light. So based on what I know, what happens when we die is now. So when we are dying, our heart will stop first typically, then only the brain. But before the brain dies, the brain will go through this. Now the actual dying process. So we have so this is us, a human, yeah, roughly generally. All right, and we have a soul in our heart. I will just draw it like this. All right, in the heart. The soul is in our heart area. So I'll draw a heart here. So during death, what is going to happen is even as we are dying, our consciousness is a brain-based consciousness. Yeah, brain-based consciousness. Now, as we die or when we die, our brain will shut down. But before it shuts down completely, the soul will go to the brain. All right? The soul from the heart, it will go from the heart, it will go to the brain, and the soul will collect our consciousness that is in the brain. And our consciousness in the brain will go through this flashback. All right? Because the brain is like the last hurrah, our brain is going away, it goes through a last hurrah, right? It's like, the last thing the brain does is fires up, goes very fast, all the flashback, all the memories, all right, it gets collected, and the consciousness will transfer from our brain-based consciousness into the soul. So the soul makes a journey. It goes through the body. All right, it goes through the body. It goes to our brain, collects the consciousness, and what's going to happen is it's going to go up, and it's going to go towards the light. All right, it's going to go towards the light, and for the soul that goes towards the light, all right, then you will have these light-based experiences. Okay, does it make sense? All right, so for those who go through the light-based experience, this is what happens. The soul will come out, and then it goes towards the light. Now, but there is a second type of experiences here, all right, which are the non-light experience. So what is happening here? So for the non-light experience, typically, the scenario is this. So the person still have a soul of light here in the heart. Usually, for the people who experience this, all right, they are typically people who are very negative, who may be very angry, very violent, very negative, very depressed, or typically when they die, they are surrounded spiritually. All right, spiritually when they die, there is no light with them. There is no divine beings with them when they die. And if you are in a hospital, you heard stories in hospitals and all, there'll be a lot of ghosts around in hospital. They may be surrounded instead by ghosts. And then they may have dark experiences or nightmares. So what the soul experiences, so when they die, the soul goes through the same thing. Yeah? The soul, as far as the person is concerned, all the while they're experiencing as their person, which is a brain-based consciousness, a physical-based consciousness. But because the body is dying, all right, the soul will go from the heart, they go here and collect the consciousness, and then the soul will exit the body. The soul will exit usually through the crown. And I've seen photos whereby, I don't have it proof, but I've seen photos whereby people dying and people have snapped photos, and it's like so happen they can catch like a wisp of smoke coming like a wisp of smoke, but it's not really smoke, it's invisible, just that some cameras, they manage to catch this. So the soul will come out of the top of the head here. Alright, now, so what they experience will depend on what is greeting them when they die. Alright, so if the person who dies, they are, light is with them, the light beings are with them, they will have a light-based experience. And let's say they don't die, right? So they don't die. So what happens is they will meet, they will go up, meet the light, and then the light maybe will bring them to a nice place in heaven, and then they have a chit-chat, you know, you can read a lot about all these positive, light-based near-death experiences. And then, you know, and then in the end, maybe Jesus or Buddha or your grandpa, grandma, you know, will say, oh, sorry, it's not your time to go, right? You still have work to do. And they'll say, please go back to your body, or please return, you know, and then you feel, oh, you have feeling that you're descending downwards, all right, and then maybe you see the doctors around you saving you, and then you enter back your body, and then your experience, right, will return back to, from your consciousness, right? Because when you so-called die, the near death, the consciousness awareness was transferred from the body based to the soul. And only because the consciousness, your awareness, your consciousness was transferred from body based to the soul, that you can experience going up to some place which is a spiritual place, which is not a physical place. Alright, but when you return, alright, in a near-death experience, the consciousness gets returned back to the brain because you didn't die. Alright, and then once more, you experience yourself as a brain-based, alright, conscious mind, consciousness. Okay, and then you return. But for the people who never, who are not connected to light, you know, who are surrounded, let's say, by dark, they will have a not so nice experience. Alright, this is what happened to people who nearly die. Alright, nearly die. Now the question is, what will happen when you actually die? Yeah? So what will happen when you actually die? So again, when you actually die, there will be these two experiences. Alright? So what will happen when you actually die? So maybe I will let me see. I will write it here. Sorry, I'm trying to squeeze everything into the whiteboard. So actually die. So what will happen when you actually die? So what will happen when you actually die? Over here, if you experience something like this but you don't go down, alright, it's a light-based one, then you go to, you know, for lack of better term, a nice place, alright, then you return home. The home of where the souls are, alright? And some people would like to call it heaven, yeah? For layman term, alright? It's not necessarily a Christian heaven or whatever, it's a home of the souls and it doesn't belong to one religion, okay? Alright, so you return home, for lack of better term, a term that everyone can understand, I use the term heaven, okay? But heaven is not restricted to any religion. Make that very clear, okay? Because when you experience this light, it can be any divine from any of the good religions, alright? Different good religions, okay? Let me be very clear, different religions, not difficult religions, okay? So, if you actually die and you have a light-based experience, alright, so your consciousness will transfer from your body to your soul, and you will experience as a soul. And if your soul is having light-based experiences, you will go towards the light, and the beings of light will bring you back home, or bring you back to heaven where you belong. Alright? Because as a soul, the soul is pure, is good, and is of light. Yeah? So it will return to the home of light. So when they die, your consciousness gets transferred to the soul, and if there was light with you when you die, okay, if there's light with you when you die, then what is going to happen is you will return home to heaven. And this is regardless of what your religious beliefs are in general. In general, as long as you're a good person, And as long as you're surrounded by light at your point of death, normally this is what happens. Now, and what happens if you actually die and you're in this type of scenario? All right, you're in this type of scenario. Now, this is a very unpleasant thing, okay? Not many people are going to like what I say, but I hope you all can understand I'm sharing this because as a person, as part of the work we do, we help send souls that are lost to light to return them back to light or return back home. So what happens is, now, for those people who are going through this scenario, so when they die, light is not with them. So the consciousness will get transferred to the soul, all right, when they die. But when the soul comes out, they find that light is not waiting for them because they have been so negative their whole lives, or they've been praying to some demons. You know, some people pray satanic or that kind of stuff, or they've been praying to deities that promise power and money and greed and lust. That kind of thing is all dark stuff, right? And you know, they're surrounded by all those bad things. Instead of praying for peace and love and compassion, they're praying for lust, money, power. You know, that kind of thing. It's not a good thing. So what's surrounding them is not good, and they come out. Now, usually this is what happens because there will be entities or spirits surrounding them that are not of light, and this is a bit sensitive, yeah. And normally there is no good end. All right. So people who are like this, their consciousness, the body expire, the consciousness gets transferred to the soul, and the soul is very generally is just a weak, small light, and this thing will be captured by these entities. And these entities generally, if you know, they may be, if they are really evil spirits, they may be dark beings or they may be demons that come from a particular hell. Then these demons may bring the soul and bring them to the hell. And the hell, and there are many hells. All right, those of you, you can go and look up our Spiritual Questions Answered podcast or playlist in our YouTube channel. I did one talk on hell, which I think it was quite long. I think more than 1.5 hours or something like that. Many questions there. So basically, what happens is, all right, the hells are not created by heaven. It's totally, heaven is a nice place, all right, home of light, of the divine, the different regions, okay, of light. But if you die and you're not, there's no light to greet you, okay, typically if you're surrounded by dark, your consciousness gets transferred to your soul and your soul gets captured, and they will bring your soul to hell, and you suffer whatever need to suffer at the hands of evil spirits in the realm of evil spirits, which is hell. And there are different hells because every demon lord, every demon king, they can create their own hell. There's more than one hell. All right, I put a whole story in the hell talk. So this is typically what happens when people die. All right. So this is a sensitive question. Now, of course, right? Everybody, I think everybody, by and large, everybody or 99.999% of people will say, right, they want this outcome. Yeah, correct? Most people, you want this outcome. You want to die and return home to a nice place, right? There are not many people, are there actually people who want this outcome? But they are, okay? There are people who are you know, who the Satanists and all those kind of things, or who work with who do black magic and they're involved in the dark arts. Small portion of people, they believe in the dark powers and they may want to go to this end. All right, but I think in general, a vast majority, more than 99% of people, they will want to choose to have this outcome. All right. So the question I always get asked is, this is one of the questions that people ask me, right? What happens when we die? And because now, the question is, how can we ensure that we have this likelihood when we die for ourselves and for our families, right? Everyone wants to know this. So actually, I will share with you all this about the opportunity to return to home or return to heaven. So, returning to light. So, there are in general three opportunities. In general, three opportunities to return to light. First opportunity is at point of death. Make sense? So at the point of death, all right, at the point of death, this thing will happen. Our soul will collect our consciousness. Our consciousness is going to, the brain is going to die, right? The brain is going to die. It goes to a flashback, it collects all the memories, and in that moment, when all this gamma firing and all, it will transfer the consciousness from our brain to the soul. The soul will be waiting, and then after that, the brain will switch off. The body will die, the brain will switch off, and then our consciousness from experiencing as a body, suddenly we experience it as a soul, as an energy form. All right? And at the point of death, if we are surrounded by light, or we're connected to light, then we have a chance to return to light. That is at the point of death. All right? Now, normally, if you miss this chance, because sometimes why? Sometimes the people, even when they die and they see the light, you know, they may not want to go with the light. Under what scenario? So sometimes people, when they die, they see and they know they are dead, but they're like, no, I don't want to go with the light. I want to stay back. I want to take care of my wife, my children, my husband, you know, my in-laws, or whatever, you know. So they say, no, I don't want to go with the light. I want to stay. All right. Then they lose this first opportunity, even though that when they die, they light is with them. All right. In this case, they have no choice. All right. In this case, when their light is not with them, they don't get the choice. But if when you die and light is with you, right, you get the choice, and you can say, no, I want to, I want to stay. I don't want to return to light. Now, if you don't go to light, in our terminology, we call such those, we call them the souls. We call them a lost to light. All right, we call them lost souls. All right, we call them lost souls. They are lost to light because they are lost to light. But never mind, that is first opportunity. Normally, there is a second opportunity. The second opportunity to return to light is during the last rites at funeral. You all know what's the last rites at funeral? So, you know, someone dies, and then normally the last rite is probably on the last day or something, or it goes throughout the funeral. There'll be a lot of prayers and everything. And the idea is the last rite is to send the soul, to help usher the soul, convince the soul, all right, or invite the divines, because usually it's associated with religion, yeah? Invite the divine, different religions, to bring the departed soul, all right, back to life. This is typically the second chance, all right? And normally there'll be third and future chances. So let's say the person is very stubborn, you know, at the last said, I don't want to go, or for some unfortunate reason, there are some unfortunate reasons in certain parts of the world, the last rites are not being conducted by people who have spiritual ability. All right. So I think in general for religions like Christianity, Islam, whereby or there's a congregation, or most of it is quite legit. But like for us in Malaysia, there are a lot of funeral services provider, from what I can see, because I've attended quite a few funerals, and especially for the Taoist side, all right, and sometimes even the Buddhist side, because there are a lot of funeral parlors, funeral services provider, that nowadays they provide the entire package. They will provide they'll conduct the funeral and everything. They say, I will find someone to do the prayers for you. But the problem is they're not finding legitimate spiritual people. They are getting someone who shave his head and pretend to be a monk and just pray, pretend to pray, but don't actually know what to do. Now, if so unfortunate, then those cases, then the last rites doesn't work because the last rites wasn't legit. Okay, but if the last rites are legit, the soul, the departed soul can also say, no, I want to stay, I don't want to go. Then is there other chances? Yes, there are still other chances. So typically, the other chances are normally during prayers. All right, prayers are offered to the deceased. Usually associated with trying to, usually with on the anniversaries, All Souls Day, right? Christianity have All Souls Day. Buddhism, Taoism, we have the Qingming festival. We have 7th month, and some temples, they will do all those prayers, which are specific to offer to the deceased to try and send them back to light or to the divine. All right. So normally, there can be multiple chances. All right, and it's not just this. So Cordelia and I, we occasionally provide this service also. We can just, we just do it very simply, and we charge a very small fee for that. All right, so you can find a legit light worker, like so we do provide, and then we'll just send the lost soul back to light. It's a easy peasy job for us. All right, so or you can find someone to send to light. All right. So people like Cordelia, myself, and some of the infinity healers who are well trained, we can do that for a very, very minimal fee. All right. So this is what we do. So this is normally returning to light. You get multiple chances. Okay. Then the question, a lot of people, the other questions that people will be asking is, how do people end up here? All right. So I'm using this chance to try to help people. Okay, now maybe I don't talk so much about it. How can we ensure more of this for ourselves and for our our loved ones? Now, for those people who are in religion, all right, who have a religious practice, all right, this will have a higher chance of happening. And people who are religious, most religions talk about the afterlife. Yes, what happens after where they die. So, and a dying in many of the religions is a sacred thing. It can be, there is a sacred, there is a sacred or there is a religious practice way of dying to ensure this. So many of the religions will do this. So if you're Christians, a lot of Christians understand this, and when they die, they know it's important. For example, so some Christians will insist that, hey, if you want to die and you want to go to heaven, you need to be baptized. And baptism is quite a strict procedure. They go through a very legit process, all right? And I've seen the effects of baptism when it's done right, all right? It really does help people increase significantly the chance of them being able to be surrounded by light at their point of death, and they go, all right? Now, especially at the point of death. Now, what happens at the point of death is very important. What I'm trying to say is, if you're baptized long time ago, and you think that one-time baptism is going to help you with this, sometimes it does not happen. This is based on my experience. I hope I don't offend people, but so Christians and a lot of people who are religious, they will say this: at your point of death, you need to do your prayers. All right. For people who are not baptized, if they are Christians, they will prefer, like, they want to go through the baptism to increase their chances. People who are already baptized, you cannot just count on that. You need to do your prayers. Prepare yourself for the afterlife, so that when you die, you are surrounded by this. Now, people who are Buddhists, for example, Mahayana Buddhists, they will encourage you to chant Namo Amitofo, because it is said in the Amitabha Sutra that if you chant Namo Amitofo or Namo Amitabha, whether Chinese or Sanskrit, all right? There is a vow made by Amitabha, which is the highest Buddha, that if you chant Namo Amitabha or Namo Amitofo, he will come and bring you back to the Western paradise, or the Buddhist version of heaven. Okay, so that is the guarantee. So the idea is basically, so all the religions more or less they have very similar thing. So at the point of death, all right, they will ask the person, the person who is dying, all the family members to pray for the person so that light will be surrounding this person, and when this person dies, all right, the consciousness will transfer from the brain-based consciousness to the soul, and the soul get to return home, return to heaven, return to light. All right, return home, heaven, light. If they don't return back home to heaven, to light, they are considered lost to light. We call them lost souls. All right, people call them ghosts. All right, ghosts to us are lost souls, souls that are lost light. So this is something that we would like to emphasize. Otherwise, all right, this can happen, and this is very likely to happen if a person, they live their life very negative, very angry, or they have been depressed, or they commit suicide. All right, because they were so negative when they commit suicide. Do you think they'll be surrounded by light? No, right? Yeah. So if people are very, before they die, they are very negative, chances are they're not surrounded by light. It makes sense, right? It's very logical. They may be surrounded by evil spirits. Evil spirits are asking them to jump, to kill themselves or whatever, and that's why they hear voices. Yeah. So in those kind of cases, right, usually commit suicide or sometimes even being murdered because there's a lot of fear and anger and those kind of emotions involved, very negative, or victims of black magic, people who pray to deities that are not of light. Like I warned, okay, if you're praying to deities for to strike 4D, all right, to strike it rich, and if deity actually give you, that deity may not be of light, so you got to be very careful. Yeah, I did a talk again under our spiritual questions answered, how to differentiate between divine and non-divine. Yeah, so there's a talk about divine beings. You all can look that up. So, so our conduct right up as a person will, right up to the point of death, will determine which of the two scenarios we experience. But the most important point is just before death. So we can be, all right, light, heaven, divine, God, Jesus, Buddha, whatever, Shiva, whatever name, Allah, you want to use for those that are of light, the divine, or they are very forgiving. You can live your life an asshole, a criminal, a murderer, or everything, but if at the last moment, you repent because you know you're going to die and you're going to meet your maker, right? You can be entire life surrounded by demons and you yourself are like a demonic being, all right, terrible person, torture people and everything, but not everything is lost. If at the moment of death you repent, you tell yourself, I am so, you're remorseful and you want to turn over a new leaf, even at the point of death, but you must be sincere. And then you go to light, you pray, and you ask people to pray for you, because you yourself praying is probably not good enough, because you're surrounded by dark. You need people who are of light to pray for you, maybe to baptize you if you've never been baptized, or go through, the different rituals. Like Buddhism will have their own initiation. Different religions have their own initiation. You go through that. Then, if at the point of death you are surrounded by light, then when you die, you get to return home to heaven, to light. If not, then this is the end, and this is the equivalent. All right, this is the literal hell when you die, because your consciousness, our consciousness, will transfer from brain-based to soul-based, energy form-based, and then It depends what entities, what spirits are surrounding us. That will determine what we experience after death. Okay? So I hope I managed to give a good explanation. I'll take a look at all your questions. So I noticed quite a number of questions and comments. So please bear with me, we overshoot a little bit. So Edwin is asking, how long consciousness and soul can be attached to body upon stop breathing or die? So it actually, the dying process, all right, the dying process from heart stop to brain switch off is maybe, it depends from person to person, but it's been said that the brain can still be firing for up to 1 or 2 minutes, I think, if I'm not wrong. In this study by this Dr. Rema, they were focusing on the 30 seconds after death. All right, because so 30 seconds after the heart stopped, they found a lot of gamma state. Right? They found the brain was in gamma state, so they're focusing on 30 seconds. But the brain can stay on. So I think it may differ from individual to individual, but I'm not a doctor, so I can't say. But based on what I know spiritually, right? When the brain dies, the consciousness can no longer stay in the brain. Make sense? So the consciousness must be transferred to something else for continuity. And because there is the soul, the continuity of the consciousness can be transferred from something that's physical, which is our brain. It gets transferred to the soul. Alright, so when the brain switches off, it will have transferred already to the soul. So it depends on how long the brain stays alive, stays functional. So Edwin said the last hit based on brain consciousness will determine the next destination of disease. Example, head region to heaven. No. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with they scan the heat, whether it's at the crown or not. Because the exit point is at the crown. It's a standard exit point. Because the soul will have to travel from the heart to the brain. And after that, it will leave here at the crown. So the journey is from here. It goes like this. Get the consciousness, the memories. And then, of course, here is just exit. Okay? Very close. So, physical, you cannot tell. You need to sense what are the spirits surrounding the person when they die. So that's why it's important we try to ensure this. We do prayers and all those kind of things. Yeah? Edwin's asking, near-death experience similar to Flatliner movie? I didn't watch the Flatliner movie, so I can't be sure. Edwin say, being of light can be guardian spirit or angel? Yes, can be. Cora is asking, what if in coma? So people in coma, they will experience different things. They have dream states and all, but people in coma, to experience this, you need to have this near-death thing. Because when it's a near-death thing, the body or the brain is tricked. The body, the brain, and the soul is tricked into thinking, hey, it's going to die. Right? So what will happen is the brain will go into, the body is literally die, and for a lot of the cases, near-death experiences, they say they will medically pronounce dead, and some people died, I don't know how many minutes, or I'm not sure whether there have been hours kind of thing. They're supposed to be those type of cases, and they came back, right? So, so the body actually goes through the dying, right? And the brain actually goes through the firing, the flashback, all right? And the soul actually collects the consciousness, and then it goes somewhere, right? And then it comes back, if they don't die. If they continue to die, then hopefully they go somewhere that is of light, and then goes to heaven. Okay? So, but in coma, it does not necessarily do that, because coma, they're still alive. So usually coma is a dream state. All right? From what I hear from people who are dream state, there's also a coma survivor. There are no personnel here, so it's more of a dream state. Edwin, again, near death, no light, need to undergo trauma. Even flashback happen, be it return downwards or never return. Yeah, near death, no light, not necessarily trauma. Now, the main thing is this: if there is near death, right, and there is no light, they experience this. They have light. They have this dark thing. They don't see the light, and they may experience nightmares, especially because they are surrounded by this. So it can be very unpleasant. All right, I have read of real life accounts whereby people talk. So there's in certain forums or even Facebook groups, there's a lot of whereby they discuss this near-death experience, and then you can actually get real people who share their near-death experiences, and it's very clear there'll be people who share this, and there'll be people who share this, for example. Yeah, and for me, I don't just get my feedback, my knowledge from people who share. I get it from the spirits who, I get it from the spirits in my encounter working with other spirits. Yeah, so in general, is this too. So, so if they have no light, then they just don't have positive experiences. All right, because when their consciousness get transferred from physical to the soul, and the soul, it comes out and it's surrounded by dark, and sometimes the soul, is like so scared and wants to go back to the body even. Yeah. But the flashback still happen. Yeah. So there's a flashback. The flashback, because the flashback is part of the brain so-called dying, and transferring. The soul goes there during the flashback to collect the consciousness, so that consciousness can transfer from here, brain-based, to soul-based. Evan is asking, when heart stopped, soul of 35 gram went to brain to get the data consciousness from brain before it leaves the body. It's not 35 grams. So there is this. There's supposedly research and there's a movie, and it said that it's not roughly average is 21 grams. All right, there's a movie or research that says roughly average is about 21 grams when people die. So this 21 grams is not just the soul. There is loss of energy, so the body will have energies because there's more than one type of energy in the body. Right, I talk about light. There's this light energy, there's this chi, and this life force. So energy is related to mass by the equation E equals to mc squared, right? E equals to mc squared. So energy is related to mass. So so our invisible subtle energies, a lot of the energy has some little bit of mass. So at point of death, all those energy is going to go, right? And it's equivalent to roughly maybe 21 grams. So it's roughly an average, all right? There's one research we talk about this 21 grams, not 35. What happened if body cremated, then return downwards? What happened? Then this is Jala. Now, so if die and then the consciousness go and then you burn the body, then you stay as a, it depends whether you go up to light or, you've gone to the dark. So you don't come back. But if it's a near-death experience, then you get to come back because, the body is not cremated or buried. Again, scenario 2 can be due to past bad karma, even current disease state, not really negative. Scenario 2 has nothing to, generally has very little to do with past life karma. All right, past life karma. Like what I was trying to emphasize, the greatest determinant is at the point of death, because the first chance of returning to light is at the point of death. So that is why all the religions, practically all the religions, emphasize at the point of death, they want to do prayers for you, and they are asking you to do your prayers to prepare to meet your maker, or to prepare to return home to the Lord, to Allah, to Buddha, death is a serious thing for people who are religious, who are very spiritual. They know that when they die, they have to let go of the earthly and they need to go towards the light. They need to go towards heaven. They need to go spiritual. So death is like a sacred process, because the most immediate chance to return to light is at the point of death. Failing which, then, because at the point of death, the main person involved, the person who's going to die, can have an active role in determining what experience he or she will go through, whether it's light or dark. You get to choose, right? If you don't choose and you choose wrongly, then the good news is there are other chances. So there is a last rites, and there are prayers offered, or you can find people like us, light workers, who can send the souls back to light. All right, there are still chances, but in general, all right, the most important is the first two, because most people know these first two. Not many people know about 3 and so on. Yeah, not many people know about these other options. Let's say I'll just put it 3 and 4 lah. All right, 3, 4. But this can be repeated, because you can keep trying. Yeah, because some people we get a lot of clients, they contact us because they say they dream of their deceased, their deceased family or members or loved ones, and they don't seem too happy. So they think that they guess that the deceased didn't return to light. So those who know us, they know we do the work. They just contact us, then we just charge a very small fee. We'll check if the deceased didn't go back to light. We'll just send back to light, and then they don't dream of the deceased anymore. Or if they do dream, it will be a happy dream because the deceased has returned to light, and you see the deceased coming back in the form of light instead of a unhappy ghost because they went to this side. Okay. And Evan is asking, there are many hells but one heaven home? Yes, in general you can say that there are many hells but one heaven home. I actually covered it in the previous talks of my earlier talks, one of the most early talks. Again, Edwin is asking or commenting, likely through strong attachment, reluctant to go to light upon death. Yes, those people who don't go to light, it's usually due to attachments. Yeah, so please let go of your attachments. Get ready to ascend to heaven. And Edwin is asking, last right's effectiveness is universal, all workable regardless of faith. The effectiveness, I cannot say is universal because it is important that the people performing the last rites, they are doing it sincerely and they are people of faith. And I was explaining earlier that like I don't know in other countries, but definitely in Malaysia, we see a lot of funeral service providers. All right, they do engage people to provide this service. All right, but they do not know whether their contractors, the so-called monks and priests, whether do they have real spiritual ability and real spiritual faith to do it. So, and from what I see in many cases, in many of the funerals that I attended, most of these people are quacks or they really don't have it. All right, so more so for Taoists and some Buddhists, because the monks are not real monks, from what I can tell, because they don't have the spiritual ability at all. For me, I can tell. Yeah, but I see for a lot of people who chose the Christian way, they'll get the church, the pastor, and the congregation to come and pray, right? And it's not just one person; they get the whole congregation to pray. So when more people pray, the power of prayer is more effective. And you have the Muslim way, whereby the prayers can be very strong too. Also, they can get the congregation, and it's done specially, so they have their last rites. Yeah, and usually it's done by people of faith. So it depends on the person and the people involved in the last rites. Yeah. Edwin, prayers offered on anniversary of 49 for 7 days. How we know the disease is still around, not went home. All right. This one, it would depend, because if normal people don't have the ability, you can't. All right. But if you really need to, you can ask people like us to check. So in fact, I had a client just asked me to check last week. All right, someone died relatively young, and I think, yeah, quite young. I mean, not even 50 if I remember correctly. And so they waited until the 7 days of prayers had finished. Then they asked me to check. All right, and when I checked, yeah, the person went back to light, and I gave them the good news. So the way I do is you just pay for the fee for me to check. If the person has gone to light, then you are paying for the checking, and I confirm it for you. And if the person has not gone back to light, I will send the deceased soul back to light at no extra charge. All right, it's a simple thing for me, and so we don't emphasize it. So Evan is saying, instead of Amitabha, can we chant based on the Lotus Sutra? Which Lotus Sutra are you talking about? The Namo Amitabha, Namo Amitofo is the one that is highest guarantee, from what I noticed. All right, because the Namo Amitabha mantra or Namo Amitofo in Chinese is linked, there is actually a sutra which talks about the vow, the guarantee made by Amitabha himself, that if you actually chant, all right, then he will come and ensure. But of course, you need to chant enough to ensure that you're surrounded by light, then Amitabha will come and receive you. Lotus Sutra, because the Lotus Sutra is very long, and it depends which one that you chant, and some, as I understand, No, it doesn't work. So I need to know which mantra you are talking about. Coral, in my grandfather's funeral at the church, the priest repeated baptism rites in case the soul lost its way and reminded the soul to return to heaven. Prayers are continued back home for 9 days to send the soul to heaven. Yeah, good. All right. So normally religions, they will have this proper last rites because they understand the importance of this. Yeah. So most of the religions, they have this really proper last rites to try and ensure that the soul will return to light and the consciousness. All right, aren't you guys concerned? Because look, this, if you end up with this is an eternity. All right, can I be very clear? This end, when you die, what happens to your consciousness is for, I'll be very clear, is for eternity, is forever. This is very serious, because you may live a life of, I give you good long life, the maximum 120 years. But what is eternity? Eternity means forever, right? So, and there are many people who will make a contract, who sell the soul to the devil for riches, for money, for power, for females, for sex, you know. They go to the dark side to do black magic on people and all kinds of things, or they pray to deities which promises them, you know, money, power, sex, that kind of thing, easy life. The price is your soul. It's very serious because I see this, the amount of souls I have to rescue because they made the wrong choices. When they were alive, they went for money, for greed, for power, for lust, for sex, you know, for gluttony, whatever, all the sins, yeah, all the bad values. And the end is they suffer for many years, decades, centuries, millennia, thousands of years, tens of thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years. The earth is 4.5 billion years old, if I remember correctly. You know, I mean, it depends how old your soul, right, and how long you've lived. It's not a joke, yeah? So the good news is all this can settle and you and each and every one of us have a say, because when we die, you have a say, do you want to choose light or do you choose dark? And I will say this, if you don't choose light, maybe you are choosing dark. Now, I'm not saying that you must go to religion, all right? I'm not saying that you must go to religion, because religion is very sensitive. So if you don't want to go the religious way, you need to make sure that you are a really good person when you die. But the problem is, if you live a life of, you know, you're a terrible person, then maybe religion is the strongest way, strongest guarantee. Or unless you know people like us, all right, you know, infinity trained practitioner is quite high level, all right, who knows all this, then we can help you with, you know, sending you off to light. So please, you know, this thing is very serious for eternity, yeah? So John is asking, what about people who experience sudden death and have no opportunity to make the prayers? Yeah, so sudden death, so you lose chance at number one. So you have the last rites and, you know, the anniversaries prayers offered, and then you can get people like us to send them to light. Edwin, again, so it's of paramount importance to let go and, if possible, be positive. No or least attachment upon death. Yes. So upon death, it's very important to let go. Don't make the choice of like, oh, I must stay back because of my wife, my children, my husband, my so and so. Or even worse, some people say, I want to, now that I'm dead, I want to be a vengeful ghost. You know, I want to make life terrible for my mortal enemy, that kind of thing. No. All right, let go. Go to the light, you know, and look for light. And some people, you know, if they escape this, if they don't get captured, all right, some souls are very clever, you know. Some souls, they purposely go to places of worship and go to places of worship, especially when there are prayers being held and they hope to encounter the divine and go to light. Normally, these are people who have some idea of religion and light and dark, And if they are not captured, so maybe at the point of death, they come out and they say, "Oh, there is a demon." Then they fly and run, and evade capture, right? And then they know that, oh no, it's really dangerous, right? Because now your consciousness is in the soul and you can fly, yeah. And then you're like, no, okay. Then okay, demons are real. Demons are real. What can I do? Oh, church. Where's the nearest church? Where's the nearest church? Or where's the nearest temple? Then you go there, and then you try to seek safety. Yeah, a lot of them do that. So, Coral, if someone meditates, prays, and is at peace with their death before taking their life, there are people who choose assisted suicide for extreme cases like cancer, where a spiritual guide can be present and friends and family to send off. Is that person going to light? So their assisted suicide is not attached to fear, but instead is more at peace and can still go to light. Yes. So assisted suicide with the right mental and emotional states. Yeah. So what is important, right? Like I said, is the person who's dying and the people beside him or her need to try and ensure that being surrounded by light. Prayers, all right, that is a religious way. The non-religious way is really not easy, all right? It's really not easy because there are no rites, and because the religious way with the prayers, the prayers and mantras carry energies as long as they are mantras of light. Okay. Edwin, soul is like energy, just transformed. Soul can't die. Technically, soul don't really die, but the soul. So normally, what happens is so what the entities like to do is this. So the entities like to capture the soul and they bring them to hell. All right, and the entities will like to torture, and then the soul will generate a lot of anger and fear energies, right? So the light energy of the soul gets generated to darkness, and then what happens is the evil spirit will suck up the negative energies, and the evil spirit become bigger. And then the soul's light will become smaller and smaller. So like, from this size, it will become smaller. But because the light comes from the source of light, it's a very powerful source of light, and the light has the ability to regenerate. So they will bring this very tiny speck of soul, which is very weak lost soul. So it's possible for some people to see this sort of lost souls, and sometimes you see it as orbs. So some infrared cameras can see orbs that flies around at night, and some people will say that they are dust, but they can actually be orbs. And during spiritual occasions, there are plenty of orbs. Or they are not just orbs; they are like spirits. They are coming for the prayers. Yeah, you can see them. I've got some videos on that. So so these specks can be like lost souls. They are zipping around. They're zipping around. Some infrared cameras can actually see them. All right, and they're very tiny. All right, so but they can regenerate because they come from the source of light. So the evil spirits will take them to hell and keep on torturing them and make them generate more energy of fear, of anger, and all this. And then the evil spirits keep on sucking, and the evil spirits get more and more powerful. This is normally what's happening. Yeah, and that's why. So you'll be hell because you get, the diseased soul brought to hell and get tortured, literally tortured, so that they will generate fear energies, and the fear energy is form of energy, is a dark energy that the evil spirits, right, the demons and dark beings and all, they will just suck it out because they're all energy beings. They want more and more energy to become more powerful. This is what's happening. Okay, but generally, yeah, the soul can't die, but it suffers for eternity. All right, it's quite serious. Evan, again, the soul collected data consciousness from brain that will determine next rebirth conditioning. Sorry, if you die here, no rebirth for you, your consciousness. Nada. How to rebirth? Because you are captured. Your consciousness went with the soul. Your soul is captured and then brought to hell, and you're tortured for eternity unless you engage someone like us who go and rescue you. Or for the Buddhists, you have to pray to Ksitigarbha Buddha or the Earth Store Buddha, right? Earth Store Bodhisattva. All right, do the right prayers, get the monk to do the right prayers, ask the Buddha to go down to hell to rescue you. All right, which is not an easy thing. Or I've done cases like that. So that is what is happening. If you're like this, your consciousness from brain-based get transferred to soul-based, and your soul is stuck in hell. No rebirth. no reincarnation for you for eternity. Alright? But to reincarnate, you must hear. Then you go back to light and then you reincarnate. Right? So from then you can go back and then you reincarnate. Cassandra is asking, Buddhist has this ritual called waiting period, something like prayers for a few days to prepare. Is it true the soul is hanging around to prepare? If yes, where does it go to wait? All right. So now everything depends on this. If the person when they die is like this, the evil spirits will just capture you and whisk you away. Then the preparation period, even for the last rites, it may not happen. It may not happen. But if you're surrounded by light, then you wait and then you're waiting with the light. So what is important is this condition. When you die, when the person dies, are they surrounded by light? If they're not surrounded by light, most likely there is something dark or negative with them. So, and why risk it, right? I'm just sharing with you, why risk it? I wouldn't want to risk it, okay? I will prepare myself for this. I will try to ensure this for myself and for my family and loved ones. But for me, it doesn't matter. All this doesn't happen, I will still ensure I can go and get the soul and send it to light. Not a problem for me, all right? So Coral is asking, I have a friend that 3 years ago took his life. His partner kept having dreams about him and him reaching out in her waking life. Doesn't seem like it happens as often, but I don't know how to help since it's quite sensitive. That is very simple, get a photo, send to me, and then I'll do an energy reading. If not send to light, I'll just send to light and that's it. Evan is saying the Namyo Hirun Gekyo, no, that one does not send people to light. You keep chanting that at, it doesn't guarantee this, all right? And if you train yourself, so again, so for people who are interested in all this, we teach you light meditation, all right? Light meditation and unity qigong. And now, if you chant mantras of light, there is a certain effect. It will strengthen your light. Same light as the light that we strengthen in light meditation. This same light that we strengthen in light meditation is the light that all this is related to, the heaven that is related to. So that's why we teach people light meditation. All right. So other than all these religious rites, okay. All right. If you are not religious, but you would like to ensure that you die like this, and you don't want to use any of the religious methods, so please, you can learn our light meditation. You can learn our unity qigong. All right. It has nothing to do with religion. Or you can also, try also to learn our non-attachment meditation, which is to help you let go of your attachments, so that you will go to light. Because there's a lot of people. So I forgot. We do have a non-religious method. All right, then you do your light meditation. But to answer Evan's question, not all mantras will help create this. So that mantra that you just given, no, it doesn't. Okay. So and people who are trained with light meditation, they can feel it. All right, they can feel it, they can experience it. The mantra that you just said, it does not create the conditions of light that enables a person to return to light. Okay, so the most guaranteed one in Buddhism is the Namo Amitabha, which is the Sanskrit version, or Namo Amitofo. This one can. There are other Sanskrit versions. For example, Kuan Yin, the Om Mani Padme Hum, it also works. All right, that is the other famous mantra. Tisha is saying, after you sent my grandma to CordyKet, my mom had a dream where the whole family, including grandma, was eating a meal together. Very happy. I think this was my grandmother's deepest wish towards the end of her life, gathering with her family. I think my grandma did a final visit, happy farewell with my mom in this dream. All right, that's good to know. And Edwin, I hope you can see the reply that Tisha did to your sent to the next reply with regards to the mantra. Tisha is saying this one creates dark clouds around my light. All right, so that mantra doesn't create a setting for light. It's different. And Evan is giving another one, Sadama Pundarika Sutra. I'm not familiar with that Sadama Pundarika Sutra. Now, in general, I like to keep things simple, okay, for especially people who like mantras and sutras. Now, sutras are very long mantras, all right? I myself, sorry, I myself um, um, don't memorize any long sutras, all right? For example, the Heart Sutra, I don't even memorize the Heart Sutra. The Heart Sutra is it's relatively short already. I just memorize the Heart Sutra mantra. There is a mantra in the Heart Sutra, and that itself is of light. All right, gate gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhi swaha. All right, those of you who are used to light, you can feel this energy. It generates light. Gate gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhi swaha. All right, can you feel it? All the prayers, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, it generates light. And I can do Hindu mantra, Om Gam Ganapate Namaha. Om Gam Ganapate Namaha. That is the Ganesha mantra, right? And then you have Namo Amitofo, Namo Amitofo, Namo Amitofo. And you have the Lord's Prayer, all right? Lord's Prayer. Heavenly Father, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. So all this, if you're sensitive, you can feel it. There's a vibration of light. Very nice feeling. These prayers, they are all from religions of light. All right, and these are mantras and prayers of light. And it will help create this setting for the deceased to return to light, to have a nice ending. A nice ending for eternity. We want to prevent this not good ending, which is for eternity. Yeah, it's quite a serious topic, so I think it's important that I give this talk. So teachers asking, what about the soul chanting mantras of light after leaving body can also give self the opportunity to go to light? Yes. So some of you, all right, some people who are infinity trained, all right, you will have a lot of knowledge about all this spiritual stuff and light versus a non-light. So you will know which are the mantras to chant and to give you a better chance. All right. So even if you happen to encounter this, as a soul, you can chant the mantras of light as a soul, and it will strengthen you and it will help you keep the evil spirits at bay and help bring you closer to light. And for example, as a soul, you can chant, as a deceased soul, even if you cannot hear, you can chant. As a soul, you can chant Namo Amitofo or Namo Amitabha or any of the prayers that I said earlier according to your religion or your preference if you don't have a religion, or those people who know you kill mantra can work. All right, you can do the light meditation way and it will help. Okay. So Coral says, what if you have no one to send you off? You die alone. Apparently this is a problem in Japan with elders living alone and die alone. I'm sure it happens around the world too. So, so for people who die alone, so if you're alone, you need to try and create this. If not, then and you don't have all this, then So if you know you're going to die alone, please create this scenario for yourself, right? Do your prayers, get ready to meet your maker, or purify yourself, mind, heart. Okay, mind, heart, body. Try to prepare yourself. Coral again. When our parents die and their souls successfully go to light, can their soul greet us into the light when it's our time? Is it actually there? Yes, they can. All right. So usually, the light experiences they will be. So it depends. Generally, these are all beings of light. They come from heaven. They come from light. They come from home, right? So heaven will know whether you will be more receptive to a divine. So if you're very religious, spiritual, they will send a divine. If you have no, you don't like religion. There are good people. They die and they've been swearing off religion. They just prefer to be a good person, but not associated with any religion. Then they will send, your deceased friends and family will come, or angels whereby you recognize, oh, that's an angel, that's a nice angel, and then you know that it's something good and it's someone that you would feel comfortable to follow and to return to light with. Okay. Jenny, can someone dream about a family member if he or she has gone to light? Okay, so that's a good question. So for people who have gone to light, generally they don't come back in dreams very much. Normally, if they've gone to light, they will come back just once. Normally, just once. They don't keep coming back anniversary or those. Normally, they come back once to kind of give you a reassurance that they are fine and well, and don't worry. That kind of dream normally. Okay, but if you keep having dreams whereby the deceased is not so happy, then normally it means that they have not gone back to light. Yeah. So Tisha is asking, if our soul gets taken away while we are alive, then that soul could die in hell. But what if our soul goes to hell after we are dead? It doesn't die. Yeah, it doesn't die. I told you, it gets tortured, and the evil spirits keep torturing to generate energy. Coral, possible for a soul that is in light to pray and strengthen people's light? Normally, the first order, if you die and you are a soul, a lost soul, the first order, the primary importance is you want to go to light. All right? You want to go to light. You are more concerned for yourself. All right? Unless you are really a light worker and you're a light worker soul and you would like to bring all together with you. But, in general, when you die, even if I die, I would want to return to light first. Okay? I want to return to light, and then maybe I'll negotiate with heaven. Maybe heaven say, okay, Kat, when you were alive, you were a light worker, you've been sending a lot of souls to light. Now that you are dead, we think that your job is not done. We would like you to return down in the spirit form to help others, to send others to light. Or then I say, okay, maybe, okay, can I take a break first? Take a break first in heaven and let me rest, and then after that I go back down to help people. Maybe. I don't know, all right? But the idea is you need to, normally you would want to return to light, all right? You have, you go through your judgment day. Normally you go through a judgment day, you get appraisal, there's an appraisal kind of thing. You go through some form of like appraisal for your life, and then you take a break, and then you plan for your future lives, and all this is heaven's business now, okay? So, but it's not normal for people to die and then like, oh, can I bring others with me? Because usually when you die, the other evil spirits can be very powerful for normal people. So your first order is to get to safety, to get to light. Okay. So Evan is saying, so the noble light workers helping send lost souls to light. Salute. Yeah, thank you. Coral said a break is good. Yeah, ha ha ha. Coral, do some spiritual spa treatment. Yeah. All right. So I think I've answered all questions, and we've really overshot because this is quite an extensive topic, and I'm glad I managed to answer most of your questions. So I guess we are at an end, and I thank everyone for joining me. All right, if you feel that you've benefited, you can consider making a donation to help contribute to our online events, which are free and donation basis. Okay, so how to make a donation will be in the groups. In the Facebook group, it will be Patrick, wait. All right, in the Facebook group is under featured section. In the other groups, I will send the instructions. Okay. Thank you. Have a good day, good night, and goodbye. Welcome, everyone. Bye.